Hey, what's up, guys? Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound, and we have the midweek edition of the Pocket Change Market Report today. Of course, this is April 6th, 2022. We're going to take a look at some of the most relevant errors and varieties that are found by folks like you and I out there that sold on eBay within the last day or two. Keeping in mind, there are a few ways of finding these coins, and whether you're adding to your collection or you like to supplement your income and resell these, there's really no wrong way of doing it. And most folks go through change. They go through coin rolls. That's like a very popular activity these days to find some of these. But also, in addition, not discounting the cherry picking that you can do at local coin shops and shows. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can find a lot of these coins. As long as you know what you're looking for, you're kind of well versed to some of the error and variety vernacular, double to dies, repunchment marks, transitionals, off metal strikes, off centers, brockages, broad strikes, things like that, then you're going to do just fine. A lot of this information is available online. As a matter of fact, I had to research a uniface strike, which we have a few of those on the list today. And one of my favorite websites, error-ref.com. It's a fantastic reference site to error coins and all of the various different types of terms you could think of. It's all in there. That's a page that I would certainly bookmark, either if I was on my smartphone or if I'm on the PC. Make sure you do that. So yeah, a lot of great stuff here. Of course, no graded coins. That's an extra added expense. That's unnecessary to resell some of these coins. That's important. And finally, the last thing that I want to point out is that all of the images are true to the lister's original photos. So we will come across coins that appear out of focus. They might be a little bit dark. So if anything, you guys will get a little bit of photography tips as well as we progress through this list. So we got 33 coin listings and lots to talk about. Lots of lots and lots of lots on this one. So we're going to talk about those and why it's important to keep your eyes out for some of those larger bulk lots. All right, so we're going to start it off with a number of Hellenbeck coin listings. Just one of the great eBay sellers of error coins today. Hellenbeck has daily sales pretty much, starting out with this 2000D New Hampshire Statehood quarter. This one right here looks and appears to be either slightly off center, which it is, or a broad strike. A broad strike just simply means that the collar wasn't fully in place during the striking process, therefore allowing some play in the metal flow to go outwards. So, you can make the argument it's either or. But, like I've said before, Statehood quarter errors is a very challenging series, and there are a number of people out there that are pursuing such an endeavor. And it's quite challenging when you have to focus on not 50 coins, but double that because you're doing P and D mints. This one right here ended up selling for $25.50 with 11 bids. So there you go. Any other coin prior to the Statehood quarter series that looks like this probably would sell for about $10. So that gives you a little bit of insight as to where the market is on these type of errors. All right, the next one that we have here is a 2000 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one's off center by about 35%. One of the more common dates for this type of error, there were a number of them being found from 1998 to 2001. Most of them were being found in mint sewn bags back when they were still distributing coins in bulk by that particular method. But as you can see, this is a really nice example. It is a copper-coated zinc, so you're going to get some of that split plating in certain areas. On this case, it's on the reverse. This one sold for $20.01 with 9 bids. All right, here's another Hellenbeck lot. This seller loves doing bulk deals. And here's another one here. This is a lot of 6 Lincoln Memorial cents. These are all post-1982 copper-coated zinc coins. They all range from, I would say, 50% off-center to as high as about maybe 65, 70%. Again, you know, these are the type of lots I tell folks to be on the lookout for. You could pick it up, either add to your collection, or turn around and flip them on a singular coin basis. You're going to find that selling coins in bulk, you're going to offer a little bit of a discount on these. A really good looking lot. Again, you know, I do have my reservations with just collecting and holding copper coated zincs, because once that zinc is exposed, it's going to be relatively easy to corrode over a very short period of time. This lot here is sold for $55 with 22 bits. That's roughly $9 a coin. So at that point, you know, they don't have any readable dates. They are copper-coated zincs. You were beginning to see the process of a little bit of corrosion on a few of them. I would say that the opportunity is maxed out at this point on this lot. And then another Hellenbeck lot, this time a 2-coin lot. We have a pair of Jefferson Nickels, 1989P. That's on the left side with a fully readable date. And then one other one that's not a readable date. And this is indeed the lot with the uniface strike. So you'll notice the coin on the right has no devices, no struck devices on the reverse. So this particular instance, a uniface off-center strike occurs when when this one is struck over a blank planchet. All right, so there was another blank planchet in the striking chamber at the time of the strike. The blank planchet would be struck, but it would leave an indent in there. So anytime you have a uniface, that's how that occurrence looks like. And as you notice, it is a little bit more stretched out, and that's because the thickness of that particular area is double what it normally is. So during the strike, the amount of pressure by the mid press would be a lot more, which would cause the secondary strike to stretch the way that you see here. Pretty neat occurrence. This one right here sold for $35.51 with 11 bits. This is just a really neat lot. I think this is a really good potential here. You could probably come close to doubling up maybe on this, seeing as how you do have one coin with a full readable date. And here's another lot here. This is an 88 to 1990 Lincoln Memorial Cent off-center package. You have 3 consecutive dates, which is neat. This is kind of like a starter set for someone that's looking to get into collecting these. Nothing wrong with that for sure. This 3-coin lot sold for $51.76 with 11 bids. And again, the varying off-center spread could be like 40, 45% to as high as about 70% for that 1989. And then we do have this one here. We have a 2-coin lot, both 1958s, but at least you get a P and a D mint. They're both lamination errors, so we had little pieces of the coin that had flaked off at one point. This one here on the right looks like it was helped along. It's a lot more recent of an event, because you do have some pretty nice coppery like shine to it. On the backs of the coins, they're just letting you know that they are quite circulated. This 2-coin lot sold for $15.76 with 6 bids. All right, we're going to get into our first piece of paper money here. This one's really interesting. It's a star note, but it's a star note, 1 star. You guys notice that on the serial number pairs, one serial number set is missing a star, all right? But also take note of the date of the note. This is a very, very new note here, 2017 series $1 bill. Yeah, it's anybody's guess what we have going on here. It's you know, there's the back showing you some of that circulation, but upon closer examination, and it's always important for us to get in close to the area to just kind of dissect what we have here. I can tell you this right now, I don't see the embossing of where a star could be, which is important. All right, if there was an embossing, you could see the star impressed into the paper, even though it has no ink. That means that the note might have been played around with. All right, someone might have intentionally removed that star. But seeing as how we don't have any embossing after that last digit of the serial number, that leaves some room for some interpretation as far as errors go. It's either going to be an obstructed print or a insufficient ink, or just it could be a malfunction of that particular wheel on the serial number. But this is just a really neat note. Again, there's a lot of things we need to be careful here. This is a note that I would say needs to go to a PMG or PCGS currency, just so we know that this is a legitimate error. So there is an element of risk when buying a note like this. You just want to make sure your hard-earned money is going to be going into something that is worth it. In this particular case, this is a note that sold for $225, people. Again, that's no little amount of money. You want to make sure you're covered. And oftentimes, you do have a return policy on things like this. All right, so we do have another lot here. This is actually just a really neat one because it's all earlier dated Lincoln wheat cents. We have a 1916, 27, 39, 44, and a 50S, all with a relatively minor curved clip on each and every single one of them. They're all quite circulated as well. Not the belle of the ball when it comes to grade. We do have one particular coin that has quite a bit of grease and gunk on it. So yeah, that's really nothing you could do about that there, because if you try to scrape it off, you might either damage it or you're going to show a lot of their original luster under that coin. You just don't want to do that. This one right here is sold for $20.50 with 16 bids as a package. Again, I don't see a whole ton of opportunity here to resell these for making a lot of money. All right, so definitely one to always keep an eye out on, but also be cautiously optimistic about these type of lots. Now, this is probably, bar none, one of the more interesting coins on the list. It's a 2019 Lincoln Shield cent, but as you can see there on the date, it's got a pretty substantial amount of cracks. You know, it goes from the rim to the date, goes through the date, and then you have a secondary crack that tails off the bottom of the two. You did have a little bit of an interior die break as well on the crack. This is quite interesting. Now, could there be another coin with a more later stage rim-to-rim die crack? Is anybody's guess, right? We've seen quite a few spectacular rim-to-rim die cracks just from the last 5 or 6 years of Lincoln Shield cents. 2016 has a really nasty-looking reverse rim-to-rim die crack. That is one not to be ignored. This one right here, sold as a buy it now for what I think is a very, very bargain price at $5.99 shipped. All right, so hey, this is a coin that if it was in a regular auction, I could see getting 15, 20, 25 bucks for. This one was a perennial steal on the list. Now here's a really decent looking 1991 P. This is a Roosevelt dime. It's off center by about, I don't know, 20%, somewhere around there. It does have a little bit of damage, but however, it is a little bit more tougher date. But I just can't get past the damage here and then on the reverse above the N in 1. However, it did sell for 13 bucks. So there is that. If it were me, I'm kind of OCD about the overall appearance of my coins. I would certainly flip this in a heartbeat if I ended up with it. All right, so we got brand new Sally Ride quarters out, ladies and gentlemen. There are people reporting finding these. However, there has not been any significant errors as of now. Pretty good opportunity to find something pretty neat, substantial. Judging from the Maya Angelou first release of the year, there have been a number of really, really neat errors that people have found. Sally Ride is the next one. So in this particular listing, you're essentially buying one roll, $10 face of Sally Rides. We have this seller right here with a number of them for sale. He or she has sold a number of them at $32 a piece shipped. Keeping in mind, people will pay any amount of money to get something like this if it means a shot at finding that lottery coin. All right, that is a real genuine thing, unfortunately, but you know, people love doing that. Me personally, I probably wouldn't mind buying a roll or two. Maybe not at $32, but for the chance of cracking on video for you so we could examine, you know, some sort of quality, you know, it seems like something I would do in the future. All right, these are quite common, but boy, do they get pretty dramatic. We have here, so this is called a cracked skull in the community. I mean, it's pretty easy to see what this is, but technically, it's what's referred to as an interior die break, and they don't get as nasty as they do in this particular example here. The coin is pretty well circulated. I mean, that really doesn't play too much into the desirability of the coin, because, you know, I think the pictures speak for themselves, and this is one of those instances where, you know, you don't need to grade stuff like this. This is a statement piece all on its own. I mean, pretty nice here. This one, surprisingly, in this condition, sold for $13.95. And I'm willing to bet that more examples do exist out there, especially in mint-state condition, where those will probably fetch about double what this one sells for. So make sure you're looking out for these situational type of placement of interior die breaks. The cracked skull is one of the more popular ones out there today. Now this one's really cool, and again, this, you know, these are coins that doesn't necessarily pop up raw. All right, this is a good example here. This is a 1979 Jefferson nickel that was struck on a Lincoln cent planchet, so that's why it has kind of that coppery color. The seller had mentioned that maybe it was cleaned at one point. Kind of hard to say. I think this one looks pretty good. It does have a little bit of luster still on there, albeit it looks like it might have circulated a little bit. I'm not sure, but if you're looking for an example of this, or maybe you found one, you just don't know what it looks like, this is what it looks like. So you're going to notice that obviously a nickel is a certain size, all right? It's got its own tolerance. A Lincoln cent is a smaller coin in comparison. So when you strike a coin that's much larger on a smaller planchet, you're going to get some device loss, most specifically around the edge. You do see that Liberty is virtually cut in half on this particular example. And then you look on the reverse, you see the same things as well. This one right here, by no surprise, did sell for a nice, healthy amount of money at $154.65. And again, we're going to do a little checkup on some of the more common dates of wide AM rather. Sorry about that. Wide AM reverse 1998 Lincolns. So these occurred and can be found on 98, 99, which is the more tougher date, and 2000. 98 and 2000 are two of the most common. We're not going to get too far in this conversation without noting that there is some corrosion on the reverse. You see those spots, those carbon spots that have advanced quite a bit, and they're turning green. All right, so that's definitely corrosion there. But we do have that pretty healthy separation between the A and M right there, and this particular coin sold for $10. So still not too bad. 2 years ago, this has been like a $5 coin. The low end wide AM coins of 98 and 2000 didn't really command too much more than that. But the market has picked up a little bit as the demand for more fringy errors come onto the market. Now, this one doesn't look really spectacular or special at first glance. 1970D Lincoln Memorial cent just looks to be a decent album filler coin, right? But when we look close enough, yeah, this one is clashed dies. So we do have the clashing that shows right behind Lincoln's head. It actually goes onto the Liberty area, which is quite nice. Not a strong clash, but definitely one to keep an eye out on. this example that you see here did sell for $18.90, which is a pretty good amount of money for something like this. And do not ignore low ball, low grade, obsolete coins. This is 1867, over 67 repunch date Indian head set. Yeah, it's not a beautiful coin at all. It's really well circulated. You can see just on the obverse, it's got a lot of wear. There's very little design left on both sides of the coin. The wreath on the reverse is pretty worn flat in this example, but you can't really, dispute the good old 67 over 67. You can see the top secondary, I guess, curl of the 7 right there, and another 6. Another top of the 6 peeking through there. Just a really desirable variety across all different grades. The higher end grades sell for thousands, mid-state condition. I've seen them sell for as high as $10K, for a mid-state 66 red or whatever it is. So these carry quite a bit of value even in this condition. This one sold for $50, and that's pretty much all you could ask for maybe a coin that was originally cherry-picked for around the $5 mark. Just kind of use good old basic knowledge here to know that this one is definitely a keeper. All right, our next piece of currency is a 1981A $1 bill, and as you can see, it's got that gutter right there. They call that a gutter fold. So prior to the sheet even having any print applied to it, did have a wrinkle in it or a fold that was never stretched out. So it prints over the fold, and then you have that guttural channel of no print whatsoever. And it's also on the reverse too, which means that after the first print was applied, and then the second print, it never got noticed at all. All right, so these are always quite popular depending on the width of the gutter, or if there's multiple gutter events, which I've seen, and they are quite dramatic, especially after you stretch it out. It kind of fans out into like a catcher's mitt. It's pretty crazy. This one right here sold for $99.95. Again, the note does appear to have circulated quite a fair bit. So I'm not going to say you can find these out there because the BEP has tightened up their quality control of the unprinted sheets. So gutter folds, yeah, they're not one of those errors you see on brand new 2017s and 17As, especially not right now. Now this one's neat, and I even forgot that this one existed. I've seen a few of these, but it's a 2019P Lowell ATB quarter, and you see it right there on the obverse. It's got a really big strike through, but you also see some feeder finger scrapes in the fields in front of Washington's neck area, and also behind his head. So this, because of the feeder finger scrapes, I could honestly say is probably what they call a field restricted strike through, where the feeder finger actually pushes across some of that grease during the the ejection or the insert process of these coins and planchets and whatnot. So you see that right there. I mean, we've seen stuff like this across a few different other quarters. The American Samoa back quarter is, of course, one of the big ones, along with the Tuskegee Airmen strike through. Same occurrence with that field restricted strike through, and they're all pretty big. All right, there's not a lot of them that I've seen that are super tiny. I've seen some small ones, but they're still pretty major enough to gain some attention. This one right here, another bargain one. I mean, it sold for $11.50 with 10 bids. Although the term strike through wasn't used in the title, and that might have hurt it. I'm not sure. But this is a coin that looks like generally would sell for around $40 to $50 all day long. So this is an anomaly right here. This was a steal for someone that wanted it. All right, coins and cards, back at it again with some bangers. How about 1857 Flying Eagle? I mean, this thing is really nice. The seller noted that this was the obverse of 1856, and that's just simply a switch over in design. I believe on the obverse of 1856, it's got a different engraving for the tip of the wing that goes between of and America. The obverse of 1857, like what I call the normal one, has, I believe, a area of weakness right there where it looks like it's got like a feather that shoots out of the wing. It's pretty crazy. But all in all, this is just a really nice example. It looks to be probably like a high-end AU, maybe a low mid-state 62-ish type coin. Kind of hard to say. I don't have the coin in hand, so I can't inspect it more to see if it's been cleaned or anything. But all in all, just a beautiful looking example. Sold for $767 with 57 bids. People are quite manic for their Flying Eagles. It's only a 3-year set, so, you know, when one does come across the auction block in generally really nice grade, they do sell for this kind of money. And here's one that I always continuously look for, 1955S Lincoln Wheat Cent. These are notorious for the BIE die chips that you see here. This one is in spectacular condition, probably a BU roll find. But yeah, there is that formed little die chip connecting the B and E in Liberty, which looks like a letter I, and that's how it gets its nickname, BIE. This one right here sold for $19.49. Here's another 3-coin lot. I believe this was sold, I keep getting them mixed up. It's not Hellenbeck, Hartsville. Hartsville coin is another really good eBay seller of errors. And we have a 3-coin lot here, 1930, 21, and 29, all with some sort of either lamination or planchet flaws on them. This is quite a decent looking lot right here. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go off of here. I mean, you know, specifically, these are the type of lots I look for where I could reflip them. Okay, I think there's some opportunity here. This lot sold for $22.99. I think in the perfect world, especially like the 29 that you see there, and the 21 is actually quite neat with that folded over lamination. Those 2 coins by themselves will probably end up selling for around 20 bucks a piece. You know, I would throw those up on my eBay store at maybe $21.99 shipped, and do really well on things like that. So again, this is kind of like the wagon wheel turning in my head, that little squirrel wheel, I guess. I look for stuff like this, and this is a really good one to pick up if you're looking to flip. And here's a 1996 D Washington quarter with 2 clips. Very nice high grade example. These are quite common in the sense of errors to find out there. So, you know, pretty neat coin here. This one sold for $17.30. People do collect these by date as well. Now this one's really cool. When I saw this one, and it was in a Millennium set, these were sold back prior to the year 2000 as a standalone kind of, you know, like offering from the BEP. They call them Millennium Notes because they have 2000 in the serial number. Okay, you see that right there. It says 2000. This one was supposed to read 2000, 8000 on the serial number, and it's a star. But you guys see what I'm seeing? There is some sort of like insufficient inking on that last digit of the serial number where it appears that these look like the letter C. That is nuts to me. Not to mention, again, did I mention that this is in a Millennium set direct from the BEP and it's a star note? Come on, you gotta be crazy. I mean, this is either an obstructed print, which means there was something on top of like a little, well, it can't be because it affected both serial numbers. So it's definitely a insufficient inking issue in this particular case. Wow. I mean, this thing is, it's a magical note. And I think for what it's sold for, I would have picked it up ×2. I mean, for the price, I would have paid double what this one sold for. It sold for $109.50 with 15 bits. This is a note that if you were going to throw this up on a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Lynn Knight, as you send it off to grading to get that error designation. This would be a note, ladies and gentlemen, that will probably sell for $500 to $600. It's that significant enough. And I congratulations to the buyer. They got a really, really neat error note. And again, it's an area of opportunity. If I was around when this listing, ended, I would have put some bids in, because I like stuff like this. Now here's another really standout Indian head scent. It's a really nice high grade too. So we could only speculate that it's a 1892. That's what the seller posted on there as it being. Or it could be a 1902 as well. Kind of hard to say, but yeah, you could see that there is a definitive lamination right over the area of the date and the first letter of United. All right. We do have all letters of Liberty on the headrest area. So it's a really nice high grade example. I would say it's probably in that, high VF to low XF region. But yeah, all in all, just a really beautiful piece here. Sold for $45. I mean, come on now. This is a coin that you could easily cherry pick out of, bulk Indian head scent, low balls, for like $1 to $2 a piece. I look for stuff like this all the time, along with retained die breaks and cuds, and, had pretty good success. And it's always a great way to make a few dollars in the process. There's a little bit of a close-up, definitely a lamination error. And then we have another 3-coin lot, a rather very pedestrian, low-end type of lot here of 3 Jefferson Nickels with clips. The one exception, the 64 you see on the bottom right-hand side, has 2 clips. Actually, they all might have clips, 2 clips. No, the 60, the bottom left coin, only has 1 clip, it looks like. But yeah, the other 2 have double clips. All right, so yeah, these are rather minor to sell on their own. So sell them in bulk. Sell them as a lot for $19.99 is what this one sold for. All right, so we haven't talked about one of these in quite a while, but we have a 1981 $1 bill with an obvious ink smear, or as what we like to call it in the currency error field, a solvent smear. They're one and the same. But yeah, this is a pretty nice, sizable ink smear on the front of the note. And this one sold for $78. There's a little bit of an image of the back, just showing you the overall condition. All right, we have a couple more lots here, the final 2 lots to speak of in this week's PCMR, but we have a lot of 4 off-center Jefferson Nickels. A couple of them actually have a little bit of a date on there. Can't really read them too well from here. And that would be this one and this one here. But you can see the off-center strikes are quite major on these. I think at its most major, this bottom right one with the uniface. You guys remember what uniface is. This one's about off-center 90-95%. Another good lot to consider if you wanted to flip these and sell them. $48.95 is what this sold for 17 bids. So yeah, there was quite a bit of action. People do recognize that there is some opportunity to resell these. And I would say you could probably come close to doubling up your money on this sale at $48. So not too bad. And here's another good one here from the same seller. So we have a number of errors. We have a couple off-center strikes, notably the 86P and the 87P. The 85 on the top right is a broad strike, a little bit off-centered. And then we have also a Type 2 blank planchet. So it's got the rolled edge, the upset rims. Pretty cool lot. Again, you guys know the application for something like this. If you want to start your own collection, this is a great starter set to dig your heels into because they're all different dates, And this one sold for $85.95 with 15 bids. And yeah, you could certainly make some money off of this one. Now here's a singular 1977 Washington quarter. This one's off center by about 15%, somewhere in that area. It's in really nice shape. A nice example of a mid-state condition, off-center strike, probably going into some sort of date set. And if not that, it's just going to be a really, really nice example of a little bit earlier date of this type of error that I like to see. This one sold for $34.35 with 6 bids. Now, not the best looking picture, but this is indeed a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Cent. It's slightly off center, and then we also have a little bit of a partial tilted collar. You can see kind of like that notched, stepped, railroaded area on the edge here on the reverse, which is, you know, a marquee feature of a partial tilted collar. This one right here in this current condition sold for $54.29. The older you get for error coins that look problem-free, the more that they're going to sell for. This is just one prime example of that. And here's another one here as well, 1945. This one also shows some mid-red. It's slightly off-center by about 10%. Again, another coin that's going to be targeted by someone putting together a date set of these. This one sold for $74. That's 74. In case I didn't screw that up. $74 is what this one sold at. Now, we're going to get to the final two coins here, the spiciest of the spiciest. We have a 1943 steel cent that was struck through a capped eye. All right. Furthermore, it's a late stage brockage. You can see the reversed image on the front of the coin right here. This is a spectacular looking coin. It does have a few little rust areas. You know, it's not a perfect coin by any means, but yeah, you can't get really too crazy in the error scene if you don't own one of these steel cent errors. There are a few different ones to consider. This one ended up selling for $352.50. Yeah, not the best pictures, you know, not the crispest, but I think they were good enough to kind of showcase what we have here. Again, take those coins out of the 2x2s before you image them. Those things are a dime a dozen. They might be a dime for 2 dozen. They're that cheap, so do that and then repackage them. You're going to get much better photo quality that way. And what did I tell you guys, right? Bicentennial coinage errors are ridiculous in today's market. They just are. Now, when you look at this coin, yeah, sure, there's no readable date, but that reverse. Everybody knows what date it is, the 1976. The only thing that we don't know is what the mint mark is. I'm probably leaning towards AP mint, considering that this thing is off-center by about 60%. Now, if this was any other date, you know, let's say if it was, you know, we saw that 1977 a few slides ago. If this was a 77 with a readable date, that coin probably would be about $40 to $50. But seeing this out, this is like one of the most popular kind of like collected, I wouldn't even say collected, but this is like a neat quarter to still find in circulation. And people that don't collect coins, they'll look at that and are like, man, that's really neat. I've never seen that before. They'll save it. All right. I know a number of people that don't collect coins at all. They have a handful of these sitting in some gilded box under their bed. It's pretty miraculous how these things just kind of like end up in a non-collection, I guess. Yeah, so we have a bicentennial quarter off center. I mean, any guesses? I mean, you guys saw the thumbnail. It sold for $550. There is a really big exponential premium when it comes to these kind of errors on bicentennials than any other date around it. Again, that 74 quarter, that 77 quarter with the same amount of off-center spread like this one would be like $40 to $50. But because it's the bicentennial, one of the most recognizable modern coins in history, yes, the money goes up way, way, way through this stratosphere. It's nuts. Oh boy, that's a really good way to end it off. I would love to hear your thoughts. Did you have a favorite coin in today's PCMR? Would love to hear it. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for all your views and support. I love doing these videos for you. Wow, that was pretty nice. A lot of good stuff. A lot of neat rarities in here, especially in currency. Would you believe it? Yeah, but don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I do have a TikTok. Hello, guys. If you guys are into the whole TikTok scene, yeah, we got that as well. It's at Blue Ridge Silverhound, all one word. Go ahead and check it out. I'm going to start posting probably about 4 times a week, if not more, to get the views up on there, to get things kicked off in a big way. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long, y'all.